Hi, I'm Lisa. Welcome to my glass studio. In this video, I'd like to show you how to make really cool patterns and visual textures that you can add to your artwork. This area right here is made by placing two different sizes of frit on top of clear glass, firing it in the kiln, take it out, and then you cut it to size to match your pattern. It's a really fun, fast, easy way to make your pieces really customized, personalized, and a lot more exciting. I thought you'd enjoy seeing a nice close-up view of this piece before we get started, so you can see how that pattern really adds to the overall design complexity. Basically, I start with a clear piece of glass that I know is larger than the pattern shapes I need. I've taken the glass, clear glass, I've covered it with coarse size lime green or apple green frit, and then I put a smaller size aventurine blue in between. The high contrast colors combined with the opal green and the semi-transparent blue make a very striking combination. This was fired to a full fuse temperature, so there's no physical texture, but you can see there's a lot of visual texture here that's really going to add to the design, because in the middle of the design I have these kind of linear pieces, and this more abstract area is a nice variation. Because this is just a single piece of clear with this detail on top, it's not very thick, so you can cut it by hand, provided you're doing simple shapes. So cutting this straight piece was real easy. Now cutting the curves is a little more complicated. So if you be using a saw to do that. So if you want to make pattern sheets like this and you don't have a saw, you might want to think about the shapes that you're creating in your pattern, what you need, and make sure that those pieces can be accomplished with your handheld cutter, a strip cutter, and just cutting straight pieces. When I work with color, I try to repeat the same colors within a design, but maybe different shades or different variations of that color. So in the central area where I've got that linear pattern, I've got green and clear. So that's why I decided to use green on this pattern sheet, so it would complement that focal area in the middle, add to it, but also be a little different, bring something new and exciting to the design. Here I was trying to cut off just a small piece and it didn't work so great. So when you're doing these pieces, it's easier if you have a little more glass to cut off when you're doing it by hand, because then it has a tendency to break the way you want it to. See, that one broke beautifully. Perfect. This type of pattern sheet has so much potential for so many different ideas, options, colors, patterns, and it really does elevate your work to the next level of sophistication, because now you're taking different types of construction, you're mixing different types of advanced techniques, and it's always super exciting to do that because you don't always know exactly what your outcome is going to be. You're kind of, working on the edge there, and when you get these new and exciting combinations, it's really thrilling because there are things that you can then repeat, or they make send your mind off in new different directions, new paths, new options that you can, pursue to make your art really personalized. Now I'm comparing the piece to the pattern to see how it fits. And it's looking pretty good. I've got three sides that are cut accurately just by doing it by hand. Now I still have a little bit of space to fill in with these strips of glass. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a few more of those and then tuck those in place. These are 1/4 inch wide strips of glass, and I'm placing them on edge. The cool thing about this is you get nice strong color saturation, and you get a very strong linear design, which can be very dramatic. Often when I work this way using the 1/4 inch strips, I'll very frequently include clear or white because it helps accentuate the thickness of the glass and that linear quality. Now that the center is full, I'm going to go ahead and transfer this curve shape onto the pattern sheets. I cut a second copy of the pattern and I'm using it as a guide to draw on the glass with a Sharpie. This dish has a very graceful, gradual curve on the two sides that I think make it really special. So I'm going to go ahead and use this paper and trace the one on the other side as well. The difficulty with this, though, is this shape, because the glass is just a little bit thick, it cannot be cut by hand with a handheld cutter and with running pliers. Now the cutter works fine. It's the pliers won't, can't get enough leverage to make that glass break. So I went ahead and drew on each piece. Then I take this lip balm, go over the line so it doesn't wash away when I use the saw. Here I'm using a bandsaw. Nice thing about the bandsaw is it gives you a very clean cut and a very straight cut. Some of the other saws with the round blade, they can vary a little bit and shift when your cut isn't quite as straight. This works really nicely for this type of construction. Whenever you're using a saw, you always want to make sure you have plenty of water to lubricate the blade and the glass as you're cutting. This will minimize any breakage on your glass. It gives you a better, smoother cut, and it makes your cutting tool, in this case the blade, last longer with less friction because you've got it well lubricated. So always use plenty of water. It also keeps the dust down, which then will kind of wash that glass dust away and keep it out of your way so you can actually see that line and see what you're doing. So water is real important whenever using a saw. The trick to a saw is just let the tool do its job. Go slow, go steady, just take your time, don't rush it, and you'll get a beautiful cut. So just, allow the tool to do its work. It's not really cutting, it's grinding material away, and that can take a little bit of time. So slow and steady will mean you have accuracy and successful pieces. When you rush it, that's when you tend to have breakage. And look how beautifully that cut. I don't know what we're going to do with that little scrap piece, but I'm sure we can figure out something. And look at the edge. Isn't that fun? How it has a lot of depth to it because it's on clear. And so this is a apple green or Amazon green and a coarse size fret combined with fine aventurine blue. Now I'm going to add what I call a zinger. A zinger is an unexpected pop of color that kind of makes everything else stand out and just makes the piece exceptionally special. So I'm going to add this glass that is kind of a red, orange, streaky. In some areas the color's more concentrated, and in other areas the color is a little bit lighter and more transparent. And I just love the way it looks. It adds a nice variation to the solid green and clear stripes, and it's a nice complement to the green patterns on the outside edge. So here you can see I'm working with a very specific color palette and repeating those colors. I often suggest you work that way because it does strengthen the visual impact of your work. And in case you didn't know, red and green are complementary colors. That means that when they're together, they enhance the other color. They highlight it, they show it off. So that's why I picked this particular color palette, because I know that that red, even though there's not a lot of it, will really make that green pop, and the green will really make that red pop, even though, it's kind of a small showing, but it is really going to show up beautifully in the finished piece of art. Now I'm going to add some dichroic because I just love it. I love it. And I feel it's a little unexpected at this point because of the other patterns and things going on here. So I thought, well, let's add a little shine, a little shimmer. And one of the nice things about dichroic is it'll pick up the colors that's next to it. So if you put it next to a green, it'll kind of get a green cast. You put it next to blue, it picks up some blues. So that it, in effect, is repeating the colors you've already selected by kind of mirroring them or reflecting them. So it's a cool accent or addition to a lot of pieces because it's adding another type of shine and also complementing what you already have. I've added an extra layer of clear underneath the dichroic and underneath the red pieces, so they're the same thickness as the green pattern sheets and the 1/4 inch strips. Now we're going to take our piece after it's been fired, and we're going to put it in a mold. So you can take a piece that's rectangular with curved edges and put it in a square mold. The fused glass doesn't have to match the mold shape. It just has to fit inside the mold so it slumps properly, evenly when it sags down into that form. So this was fired to a full fuse temperature. Now we're going to take it to the slumping temperature inside a mold to give it some curvature. And I really feel like this gradual curve really highlights the design and really makes it very clean and crisp and just beautiful. Just loving the way this came out. And I call this piece moss because I thought it kind of had an earthy feel to it. And, with those linear quality, the dichroic, the colors, and then the pop of red that just really makes it very special. If you'd like more in-depth instruction, this project is in my advanced glass fusing video, which is available on my website. This video has a whole bunch of advanced projects you are going to love. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed learning how to make this pattern piece, and you might want to try that technique and expand on it a little bit. Try your own things. Use your own, put your own little flair to it, your own color combination, maybe a different variety of materials to create something that looks really cool that you can add to your pieces of art that makes them very, very unique. And isn't that really the fun part of doing glass, is there's always something new to learn and a new technique to try. Please follow my YouTube channel, like, subscribe, leave a comment. We love it when you leave comments. We love your feedback. We love when you give us ideas for new different topics. So thanks you very much for that. Please consider becoming a premium video member. We'd love to have you. You get exclusive access to content that is exclusive, wonderful different projects. We have 25 courses out right now. So the minute you sign up, you have access to 25 spectacular courses with step-by-step video instruction, full-size printable pattern ebook with materials, full color images, full-size patterns, everything you need to complete those projects. So please consider joining us as a premium video member. We'd love to have you. And until next time, happy fusing.